To fall from grace and to go astray, we should realize that in our lives we can make a change for a brighter day.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, I greet you, all the viewers and all the audience, with the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be unto all of you. Still we are talking about the same topic, which is two options, because two options is related to something very close to our life. We said in the beginning that all human beings go through chain of tests on daily basis, even on hourly basis, until we die and we meet Almighty Allah, because this is the way to differentiate between the good one and the bad one. So we confront lots of tests and tribulations in our life. Today, the example that I'm going to talk about is our forefather, the father of all humans. I'm going to talk about Adam and his wife Eve, Hawa. Today we will see that the first human being was tested by Almighty Allah with a very, very tough test. And the message behind this is that if Adam is tested, that means that all humans will be tested. So here, now we have the two options confronting Adam. Adam was in paradise, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya Adam wa ya Adamu uskun anta wa zawjuka al-jannah. O Adam, you and your wife live in paradise and eat fakula min haythu shi'tuma, and eat whatever you want. Everything in paradise is halal for you. You can do it. You can eat from it. You can drink from it. However, وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ, this specific tree, don't approach it. So all the trees, with all the fruits, with everything there, with the millions and billions and trillions, you can eat from them. But do not approach this one. Do not eat from this one. So that otherwise, if you do this, you will be transgressors. You will transgress against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here is Adam and his wife are confronting this situation, this test. Option A is to listen to Almighty Allah and to obey Him, and to eat from all the trees except one tree that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, do not approach it. And the other option is to disobey Allah, and this is option number B, and to eat from it. So to disobey Almighty Allah. So here, this is option B. Here we are telling all human beings, these are the two options basically whenever we confront any test in life. There are mainly two options. Option one, obedience of Almighty Allah, and option two is disobedience to Almighty Allah, to the command and the decree of Almighty Allah. This disobedience may take, as I said, different forms, and maybe option B or option 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. It's endless because it takes different forms. But anyway, all these options are categorized under one option, are grouped under one option, which is option B, which mainly is disobedience to Almighty Allah, versus this option number 1, which is mainly falls under the obedience of Almighty Allah. This is the situation. It may look easy for us. You have all these trees, millions of trees and millions of fruits. You can eat from them, but don't approach this one. So anyone theoretically may say, yes, I can do that. But this was not true, because, as I said, that in option B all the time, or option number 2 all the time, you find Satan is whispering to you The jinns are whispering too, and it takes two forms. It's whether the jinns are jinns like Satan or human beings. They can whisper to you, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? Why this tree in particular? Until Satan tempts you. And this is exactly what happened to Adam alayhi salam. And let's remember now, see that, and this tells us a very good message here. We have to understand it. Even if you own the whole world, you will still need something more and more and more. It never stops. You say that, okay, if I own this building, I will be very happy. Then it moves to another building, a third building, a fourth building. And if you say that, oh, if I own this island, I will be happy. And if you own it, you will say, oh, why not the other island? Why not a third island? Why not this country? Why not that country? Why not this whole continent? And even if you get this whole continent, you want to exceed. And you can see this in the empires. They extend day after day after day after day. They want to own the whole world. This is a sort of things that happening to all of us. You want to own the Mercedes and the Porsche, and you want to own this car and this palace and this, and so on and so forth. It does not end. You have to say that this is enough. Now, Adam, under the pressure, under the whispering of Satan, who whispers to all of us. And I'd like here to remind you of something very beautiful in Arabic language. The word whisper means waswasa. There's two verbs connected with each other, wasa. And this tells us that this whispering will continue on and on and on and on until we die and we meet Almighty Allah. So we have to be ready that all the time, this minute, after an hour, after a week, after 24 hours, Satan will continue whisper to me. The smart person would know that. Don't say that this is a whisper of Satan. No, when you get a command from Almighty Allah, you immediately obey it, because this is option number one. You don't need to think of the other alternatives. That's it, period. If Allah said so, this is what I have to do, and you don't need to exceed the limits. I will give you some examples now that happens to people exactly. People fall in the same test that Adam had gone through it. Now you can see that people who drink wine, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to drink all these types of drinks that we have. Hundreds of types of juice and the water and everything you can drink except wine. However, they fall in the same mistake that Adam fill in, which is the test of obeying Allah. Yes, only one thing that you don't need to drink to obey Allah, which is wine, but still lots of people fall into this trap because it's the trap of Satan. The same thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed you to eat all these types of food except pork. However, you still find people, yes, say, why not to taste this? And so it's the same test that Adam has gone through. It's repeated in different form to every individual, and still many people fall into it. And the reason here is that the Satan whispers, why not? This is a very, very, very important question. Why not this? Why not that? You have to understand that you don't have the right as a human being to ask Allah, why this and why that? The day you promised Allah that you are a Muslim, you will submit to everything. The day that you said, La ilaha illallah, you told Allah, you are the Almighty. You are the all-knowing. So I shouldn't ask you. I should just take it from you and accept it as is. There are many reasons for that. Try to imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving all the reasons behind why this is haram and why this is halal. You will find some hints in the Quran and the Sunnah why this is halal, why this is haram. But if it gives you detailed, when you get a medicine, for example, when you buy any type of medicine, you can find 2 or 3 pages leaflet that explains to you, or brochure that explains to you what are the side effects, what would go wrong if you do this, what will go good if you do this. It needs is right. 2 or 3 pages for every item. Try to imagine if this is the case with the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran would be as bulky as this. And nobody at that time would be able to read it. So it's enough to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after investigating, after knowing, after being sure 100% that He is the all-knowing and He is the all-wise. When you know all these things and you combine them together. Now, I would not ask Almighty Allah about this because I know Him. He is the most perfect and the most expert and the most and the most and the most and the most. Now, there is no way for me to ask about all these things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves this area for human beings to try and to make tests, to see, to make research, to see things that are happening. For example, it was very difficult in the past to prove some of the issues that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. However, the Muslims believe them bluntly. For example, مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. When you come to this verse, and we need to, nobody understood this in the past, but they've seen it, but they didn't see a real barrier, but they saw the barrier in the essence of the water itself that does not melt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a barrier, but no human being sees it. But now they understand the meaning of the verse. In the past, people didn't understand the meaning. However, they believed in it because it came from Almighty Allah. Dear audience and dear viewers, this is your presenter, Dr. Mamdouh Nuruddin Muhammad. I greet you again, and I hope and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who listen to these things and to select the best of them and to apply them in our life so that we would be better Muslims and better human beings and to benefit others. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
In this world today, there are many ways to fall from grace and to go astray. We should realize that in our lives we can make a change.